Hey, it's AW and we back today, guys. And today I have a special one for you. I have the scaler who he asked me the question: how would Dangai Ichigo fare against the Sternritter'S? So let's dive right into it. Whenever we analyze this type of matchup, we have to analyze Aizen as the key to scaling this matchup. One thing we have to remember is that the Hogyoku fused Aizen was a universal threat due to the Shinigami statements and his mission. His mission was to uproot the Soul King and place himself as the ruler of the Bleach Superverse. Aizen might have succeeded had it not been for Dangai Ichigo. The Stern Riders are very powerful, and for those who have read the manga, they know currently within the anime we have not seen the top Stern Riders, or Yhwach's Royal Guard. Dangai Ichigo's physical strength was on par and possibly stronger than Gerard, and Gerard is the most physically strongest Stern Rider out of all the Quincy's. This is evident through Ichigo overpowering fully awakened Hogyoku Aizen when he was in this form. If you remember during their fight, Aizen believed he was the one destroying mountains with one swing. It was actually Ichigo. Notice in the Thousand Year Blood War arc, Aizen still had remnants of Mukin, and so Aizen is unable to access his fully awakened Hogyoku currently right now. He still does have the Hogyoku within him though, so for those scalers that are wondering, he is still fused with the Hogyoku, and some of his power is leaking into him. When Yhwach came to Aizen early on, during his invasion of the Serente or the Soul Society, it is because he understood that it would be extremely difficult to kill Aizen due to his immortality, but also by the fact that only the top Stern Riders would be able to hold Aizen, and even then they still may have trouble due to Aizen's Reiatsu and spiritual pressure. Dangai Ichigo is physically stronger than fully awakened Hogyoku Aizen. None of the Stern Riders besides Gerard have the physical strength to compete with Dangai Ichigo. In terms of speed, only Yhwach would be able to keep up, as Yhwach has the power to see the future and has the power to change it, called his own Almighty. Yhwach may be the only Quincy capable of keeping up with Dangai Ichigo's speed. Yhwach will not be able to compete with Ichigo's physical strength strictly from the fact Yhwach never wanted any smoke from the former Captain Commander Yamamoto. If Yhwach was physically stronger than Captain Commander Yamamoto, he would have fought him personally instead of tricking Captain Yamamoto to fight Royd. We also have to understand that Yhwach did not have the immense spiritual pressure to contend with Captain Yamamoto. It is evident that fully awakened Hogyoku fused Aizen had become physically stronger than Yamamoto, and so had Dangai Ichigo. No Shinigami caused that much destruction with nothing but sheer brute force and physical strength when we are discussing Dangai Ichigo. One could argue Kenpachi, but up until the final battle with Aizen, no character at that time was physically stronger than Dangai Ichigo. When we're discussing Bleach characters as far as inverse scaling, Reriku, the thing that creates Reiatsu and pushes out spiritual pressure, is the key to winning battles. He internalized all of that Reriku. We have to understand as scalers that Ichigo has immense Reriku, and when he internalized it in his body, it increased all of his physical attributes, both versus Aizen. So Dangai Ichigo, when we're talking about speed with Dangai Ichigo, it is very hard to quantify, strictly because Ichigo never utilized Shunpo versus Aizen, as he never felt the need, as he knew he was stronger than Aizen, and didn't see Aizen as a threat. I'm going off of Ichigo's previous speed feats and the fact that he is stronger when in Dangai Ichigo mode. Ichigo is just as fast as base Yhwach, possibly faster. with Yhwach having a slight edge due to his almighty power. But if we are discussing any of the Sternritter'S, none of them besides Gerard Valkyrie has the physical strength Dangai Ichigo possesses, and only Yhwach would be able to contend with Ichigo's speed. I can't think of a single Sternritter currently right now that would be capable of having more speed than Dangai Ichigo, strictly from the fact that Ichigo has massively faster than the light reaction speed, as when Aizen teleported behind him, he was easily able to catch him. Durability is a question as well, but when we're discussing fully awakened Hogyoku Aizen was able to damage Ichigo utilizing an extremely powerful and unique Hado only Aizen is capable of. With that being said, only a character with a high, immense level of energy projection will be able to damage Ichigo when we're discussing energy projection. The only group possibly powerful enough to even stop Ichigo for a short time will be Yhwach's Royal Guard. Notice in the meeting with all of the Sternritter'S, the lowest members stood with the lowest ranked Quincy's, while the top ranking stood with Yhwach. Those high ranking Quincy's, Lily Barreau, Pernita, Gerard, out of all of Yhwach's Royal Guard, Lily Barreau has the highest energy projection out of all of them, with him being one of the few Sternritter'S that could possibly match Ichigo's energy projection. Lily Barreau has some spatial control through his Volstendeek, leader of Yhwach's Royal Guard. Lily Barreau is extremely powerful. He would still have to contend with Ichigo's raw power and massively faster than light reflexes and speed. Dangai Ichigo was capable of easily reacting to Aizen's teleportation and Aizen's other speed feats. In terms of durability, Ichigo can be injured in his Dangai form, but only through high amounts of energy projection. Possibly Gerard Valkyrie could injure Ichigo through physical attacks. I still can't see it, strictly because Aizen was unable to not do much damage when he utilized his special Kido versus Ichigo. Most of you will realize though, Gerard and Pernita are extremely special Sternritter'S within Yhwach's army. And I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but just realize that these guys are one of the two that could pose a threat to Ichigo. Possibly. Possibly. Because Ichigo's still more powerful than these guys. Dangai Ichigo is still more powerful than both of these guys, as he was defeated by a younger Yamamoto. Dangai Ichigo's durability is on par with base Yhwach. Yhwach probably does possess a high-speed regeneration ability, but it is probably dependent on the amount of reishi in the air, as they can absorb reishi and utilize it, because he's a Quincy as well. But that high-speed regeneration clearly was not great enough to overpower a younger Captain Yamamoto when he fought him during the first Quincy and Shinigami War. The other issue we have to remember is that Yhwach had to utilize Roy to trick Yamamoto into using up most of his spiritual practice. Yhwach talked about Yamamoto going soft from the previous years. He damn sure made sure to not fight him by himself straight up. He definitely used tricks to beat Captain Yamamoto. I believe this is due to Yhwach not having the physical power and possibly energy projection to contend with Yamamoto. If that is the case, then Dangai Ichigo would not be someone base Yhwach would be able to overpower with his physical attributes or his strength, which is evident by base Yhwach not fighting the former great Captain Yamamoto, whose physical strength, speed, and durability was extremely high. When we dive into speed, once again, I can't see any of the Sternritter'S defeating Ichigo, with Ichigo's durability coming into question versus Yhwach, as Yhwach does have the highest energy projection, and he did possess the speed to match Ichigo's first stage Bankai, so we have to remember that, which was evident when Ichigo and Yhwach clashed during the first part of the 1,000-year Blood War arc. And mind you, Ichigo is massively faster than light when in this form. And this is just his first stage Bankai. When we discuss Hack's ability, Pernita comes to mind as he is the left hand of the Soul King. His ability will pose problems for Ichigo in that I do not believe Dangai Ichigo could maintain his Dangai form for long periods of time. It's similar to Naruto's Baryon mode in that its conditions mean one and done. Once Ichigo utilizes his final Tensei Go, I believe that's it for Dangai Ichigo. I also believe Dangai Ichigo has a time limit due to the amount of heroic that is being absorbed within his body. We as Bleach scalers have to remember that Dangai's Ichigo heroic was unnatural in that, similar to his Bankai, where Ichigo's speed and attack power and AP and attack potency increases, his Dangai form internalizes his heroic and increases his durability, physical strength, speed, reaction time, eyesight, and energy projection. We could discuss Askin Knock Levar, as his Hack's ability is something very powerful, and he is an extremely powerful enemy that utilizes poison. He can also utilize higher speed regeneration through his Quincy's abilities, but we have to remember this is a battle of Roroiku between Bleach characters. Dangai Ichigo would overpower a skin knock Lavar's poison with his Roroiku and overwhelm his high speed regeneration with Reiatsu and high amounts of spiritual pressure. So that brings us to Yhwach, as none of the weaker Quincy's would stand a chance, as Ichigo would cut most of them down instantly, especially the ones that do not have a healing ability or a healing factor. While I do believe most of them can absorb Reishi and use it to heal themselves, I think only some of them can absorb it fast enough to utilize it in battle. Pernita possesses an immense amount of spiritual pressure, but it is a battle of Reiatsu and spiritual pressure when we are talking about Bleach characters. Ichigo's Ryoryu is greater than Pernita, but if there was a Quincy that would hold Ichigo up, it would be Pernita. Ichigo may have to use his Mugetsu on Pernita or Gerard, but ultimately I think Ichigo would have found a way to defeat both of them without utilizing his Mugetsu. But those are the two characters that I can see out of the Quincy army, besides Yhwach, that may pose a problem for Dangai Ichigo. But that's going to cause problems for Dangai Ichigo when we're discussing Yhwach. It's not Yhwach's physical attributes, but it is Yhwach's almighty ability, the ability to change the future and see multiple outcomes. Instantly, this ability is a godlike hacks. Yhwach's Roroiku is massive, similar to Dangai Ichigo, and Yhwach has immeasurable spiritual pressure, being as he's the son of the Soul King. Yhwach's Roroiku is capable of rivaling Captain Commander Yamamoto himself. Ichigo will be forced to utilize his final Tega Tensho, and we have to understand that when he utilizes his Mugetsu and turns his form into the black form, he's releasing all of his Ryoryu stored within his body. He would destroy Yhwach. And the reason he would destroy Yhwach is we have to understand that he nearly destroyed Aizen, and Aizen has the Hogyoku within his body. Understanding that the Hogyoku is actually a part of the Soul King. While Yhwach is the son of the Soul King, he's not physically a part of the Soul King. He's not. When Yhwach absorbs the Soul King, the final Tega Tensho will not work. If we are discussing strictly about base Yhwach, so Ichigo in his Mugetsu form, and I'm stating this strictly because, as I stated, Dangai Ichigo's Ryoryu is unnatural, and his spiritual pressure is immense. He was able to defeat Hogyoku Fuse Aizen, which proves even further that base Yhwach would not survive either. The only reason base Yhwach would survive is due to him fusing with the Soul King and essentially becoming the most powerful being within the verse. Later on, I will discuss some of the powers of Absorb King Yhwach and why Mugetsu would not work. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. This is AW, and I'm out.